welcome to Mommy Tales. At Mommy Tales, we discuss issues surrounding motherhood and how we are raising our kids and our lifestyles as moms. So today I'll be talking about the issue of house girls, because honestly most of us need help around the home, especially when we go to work or when we are doing other things outside the home. So we need house girls, and the issue always is recruiting house girls. How do you get a good house girl? Is it from your relationship with her, or is it even the questions you ask at the interview when you're interviewing her? Is it determined by all those factors? So I just want to ask fellow moms what it is they look out for during the interview. What are the questions to ask? I know we ask a whole load of questions during the interview, but like, what are the top 3 questions that are so mandatory that you should ask during the interview, the house girl? So for me, what the things that I always ask is, number 1, what is your experience in this kind of work? And then also, like, for how long did you work in those particular houses that you worked in? Is it like, did you do like 2 years? Did you do like 5 years? Was it a few months? Or basically even 10 years? There's also done like for 10 years. I want to know the level of investment I'll do in you in terms of training, because if you're totally new, like you've not done this work before, it's good for me to know how long I'll need to train you for. Number 2, the thing I look out for is, do you have any illnesses or do you have any health issues that I should be aware about? For example, are you asthmatic? Like, do you have blood pressure issues? HIV is also very important, by the way. And then also something like diabetes. Do you have ulcers? Is this good for me to know so that I know what lies ahead in case I will take you on to be assisting me in the house? The third thing I always ask is, I just need to know a little bit about your family. Are you married? Do you have children? Where are they? How old are they? That's usually something very important for me to know. And then I always ask you for the contacts of your next of kin. Just that when we're living together, in case anything happens, I'll know who I need to call immediately in order to let them know what's going on. Yeah, so I've gone out and asked a few moms also, what is it that they look out for, the questions they ask when interviewing a house girl. Yeah, so here's that.
1. Do they have any sicknesses or any health issues, including allergies? So that I know, will we be cooking 4 pots? Ama will be cooking, not to come, you tell me today I don't eat meat, tomorrow I don't eat malenge, I don't eat, so you have to tell me from the word go if you have any sicknesses, including allergies. 2, your vision for the future. That one is a must, because in my house you must save. That one we don't negotiate. In my house, all the house girls that I've had, you must save an amount every month, so that when you tell me you want to go back to school or you want to start a business, I want to be part of that process, so that I can help you with ways of saving, and I can see which burdens I can help you lift them off your shoulder. The third question is contact details of your relatives in Nairobi. If you tell me that you're going to see your cousin in Kawangware, I'll at least know the relatives that you have, so that if you don't come because of one reason or another, I'll know where to start finding you from.
The first one, I have 3 kids. My kids are very playful and talkative. So the first question is, do you like kids? And do you mind playful children? Because if the answer to both of those is no, then the relationship will be a bit difficult to maintain. 2 is, does she have a problem with working if requested? Let's say like on a day she needs to have an off and something happens, maybe I have to rush somewhere or have a meeting. Does she have a problem? The third one is, does she go to church? Because I think spiritual nourishment is important, and it will be good whether you're a Christian to find out if you go to church, because I think that's important.
With the girl who wants a job, when I'm starting the interview, personal introduction about her name, age, and family background, education level, and now work experience. We go like the CV, work experience, and then I want to know the previous employer, why she left that work. because some will lie to you. Mostly they do. They won't tell you exact thing. They'll tell you, oh, my employer was harsh or moved to another country. But it's better to know. And so long as you know, because we are not the same, you know the previous employer, how she left there, it's okay. The best thing, you must know where even the contact. Some give contacts of the previous employer, others don't. Then now from there we go to personal hygiene. Still in the interview, because I want to know you. As I'm interviewing, also I'm doing part of training, because I really want to know your body from the hair to the toe, your personal hygiene. If the way you treat your body, is it the same you treat my environment, because that is your office. Then now from there we go to daily routine or responsibilities, because from there I'll also be knowing from your previous employer what you used to do, or if you are green, you have never worked, I'll be able to know from my interviewing script. And then another question, I don't always forget relationship. If someone is in a relationship or has been married, because we set them free, so that if she's in a relationship, she can have time to go out. At least once a month you give a night out, or weekly, it depends. And then if they have a family, children, you also know, so that you can treat someone in case of anything, you have some things, clothes or something you can share. Then health. If either she's health-wise okay, because sometimes you employ someone and starts telling you, oh, you know, mgongo, or maji baridi shishiki, so it's better always to ask, how is your health, what is your common illness? Mostly some tell you it's homa and malaria, that's obvious, but there are others like HIV, there is asthma, there is backache, so those ones you need to know, not, because she can be very nice, you can take care of that if you want. Then another question is religion, because you need to know if either they are SDA, Christian, SDA, or the other Protestants going on Sunday, or Muslim. So religion is very important. Then also off day, because some don't like maybe to go over the weekend, so you can organize, because mostly you can either take someone if they agree on off day. If they don't agree, it's better you decide on that. And I always like to know about any savings in my interview. So some will tell you, oh, deduct my money, or let me save. So we also I interview on savings, because you'll know someone when you stay with someone within a month. Yeah, I think that is all I have.
So I spoke to some of you moms on Twitter, and these are your responses as regards to the questions that you ask when interviewing a house girl. There's Janet who asks, can you handle emergencies and give a scenario? What are your expectations from me as your employer, and what is your religious background? Now on the bit of emergencies, it's so important, by the way. You can ask, for example, if a child is playing, they fell down and they started bleeding, what will you do? Or for example, if you're giving the child food and you see they're beginning to choke, what will you do? Also the case of a fever. If you notice the child is becoming a bit lethargic and you see they have a fever, what would you do in such a case? That's actually very important, just to be able to see how she will respond, and also her kind of communication, how she's talking to you, her trail of thought. It's also very important here, so that's a good thing. There's Edwina who asks, why did you leave your previous employment, the age of the youngest child that they've ever taken care of, and what they aspire for themselves. On the issue of what a house girl aspires for herself, it's very important for you to know, because you want to know, why are you working? Is it because you want to save so that you can go back to school? Do you want to save so that you can open your own biashara sometime? And do you intend to do this maybe in like 2 years, 5 years? Your saving plan, for how long do you want to save so that you can be able to move to the next level? And it's also good because you can be able to know how you can be able to help that person. Maybe they can do something, then you chip in kidogo. So yeah, what do you aspire for yourself? And there's a mom I was talking to the other day, and her house girl came in and said, I'm gonna do 5 years. I'm a very good house girl and I'll give you good service and I'll do 5 years. And the mama was like, good. And she had small kids at that time. So they did a very good 5 years together, and she had only planned to have 2 kids, by the way. But then a third born came somewhere along, yeah, when this house girl was doing her 5 years, and she was thinking, gosh, the house girl has been so good. Do I ask her to stay on for another? Because now you see this kid is small, I really need her. But imagine they just had a conversation with the house girl, and the house girl was like, I told you I'm giving you 5 years, you've been so good to me, we've had a very nice time, but I also have my plans, and my 5 years now, I've saved enough, I want to go back to school, and roho safi, it's time for me to go. And they parted ways very well, but it was good for, you know, that kind of understanding, like, how long do you plan to be here, what are your plans? So that was a very good conversation they had. And then there's Eva, who asks, do you have any experience working in a family with small kids? Do you have a valid ID, and may I see it? And what is your experience using basic kitchen stuff, for example, a cooker, a microwave, and a kettle? On the issues of IDs, by the way, I would advise you to always ensure to tell the girl to give you an original ID. Why? Because when you're given a photocopy, there are so many alterations that can be made, and with a photocopy you can never know the true details, because guys can always alter some details. And you see, even sometimes if you've seen an ID that's photocopied, even you own, sometimes you can't even recognize yourself in that photo. So it's very easy just to put somebody else's details, even like the shags of where somebody comes from. If you really want to alter an ID, just give a photocopy. And so yeah, it's so important for you to get the original ID, not a photocopy. Then there's one boy who asks, can you read? Because it's a contract to read and you need to understand it. And also it's helpful if she can write things like a shopping list. And then she also asks, do you like children? On the issue of do you like children, that's so important, because this tweet has reminded me when I was pregnant with my first baby, and the baby now was coming like I'm due. I had a day bag who used to come in like once or twice a week. And not because I knew now I'll need a living, I asked her, by the way, would you be okay coming to, you know, stay here, be a board and help me raise a child? And she was like, enyewe kusema kweli, maneno ya watoto siwezani nayo. I'm like, oh, okay. She's like, mi maneno ya nyumba, kusafisha, kupiga pasi, kila kitu yoyote mimi niko sawa. Lakini maneno ya watoto, iyo siwezani nayo. And it was so good because she was honest with me. And if you know deep inside your heart, things of toys are not for you, it's okay. You will get a job. And it's good for you to ask that, are you comfortable with kids? Do you love kids? How is your interaction with kids? That's so important. And yeah. Now there's Francisca, who says it's also important to bear in mind that they may just be good interviewees and many will tell you what you want to hear. So probation is very important because it helps you identify their true character and their strengths. On the issue of probation, actually when Francisca mentioned this, I was like, that's such a bad idea, because she said, it's true actually, when many of us are doing interviews, you're at your best, as in yani, you're gonna give your interviewer all the answers they possibly will need to hear, because you're looking for the job and they're looking for the best candidate. So you'll present yourself as the best candidate and you'll likely answer all questions properly. But then now when it comes to actually doing the work, things may be a bit different. So the probation is important, and Joyce said even as she gave her house girl probation, and the probation lasted 5 days. And during these 5 days, she said, I just let her do her work without any interruption. I was just observing her, and after the probation period, we were able to discuss now the issues that I felt she needed to improve on. And I also think it is important because during that probation period, she may need to ask you a few things that she needs clarity on in regards to your house. So that probation time is very important. And you know, let me tell you something. If you're trying to hide something, you can only hide for so long. For example, if you're not comfortable with kids, you can only hide it for so long. So that probation is good. And also, if you're not up to par in terms of cleanliness, if your cooking is not good, I think the probation, if you see there's potential in this girl working in your home, the probation is good because you'll know the areas of training to invest in her. Maybe you can even take some days off work, or over the weekends you can decide you're a good house girl, you have a good attitude, and I believe you can be able to fit in our home. So then you can be able to train her in the areas that you feel she needs some improvement on. So probation, good. Now I spoke to another mom, she's called Naomi, and she told me, Marianne, another question that is good for you to ask, especially if you're a pregnant mom whose baby is almost coming, or if you're a new mom, maybe your kid is like 3 months or something like that, ask the house girl, are you comfortable with breast milk? And I was like, hey, how now? And she was like, by the way, she had a house girl who was so good, like their housework top notch, dealing with the baby kabisa very good. But imagine when it came to breast milk, she just couldn't deal with it. As in, she couldn't even touch anything that had to do, anything that had like breast milk. Comes to feeding, she'll feed. But in terms of washing, anything that had the breast milk, whether it's the clothes, anything that had to do with the breast milk, imagine she just couldn't handle it. And it's something that was yani like inside. She just, it just used to make her nauseous. And she just said, I can't deal with breast milk. And this is important because you see now when you go to work, she'll need to be feeding the kid and washing the dishes, the utensils that have breast milk. And it's good for you to know early enough, is this something you'll be able to handle? Because you can't tell her to keep the dishes dirty until when you come back from work for you to wash them. Issues of hygiene are so important when you're dealing with a small kid. Yeah, I never thought of that before, but it's actually very important. There are some people who bodily fluids just don't augur well with them, and it's good for you to know this. If you're a pregnant mom or a new mom, just know that that is important for you just to know. On the issue of religion, by the way, it's so important because there are some house girls who go to church on Saturdays, and they're so certain about that. They're so set in their ways of going to church on Saturdays, and it's a good thing because you don't want to start infringing on somebody's religious freedom. Because on Saturdays, moms, we are so busy. It's either you're going for chama, you're going for a wedding, you're going for a rorashio, it's a baby shower you're going to, a bridal shower. By the way, and there are some moms who go to school on Saturdays, and also there's some moms who work on Saturdays. So you need to know early enough. When do you go to church? Which day do you go to church? And if it's on Saturdays, then you need to ask yourself, am I able to sacrifice the things I do on Saturdays and maybe do them on Sundays? And if they're not able to be done on Sundays, then you need to know. Because don't start telling her, "Pana mimi huko kwangu Saturdays lazima ufanye kazi." That one I would advise you not to. It's you to decide what you need to do, but don't go spoiling for somebody. Don't go nyanyasing somebody and saying, "Hapana huko nyumba yangu Sundays pekee ndio inakuanga off day." No. Because you need to know how you can accommodate the differences that you have in regards to religion. Just make sure you're not kanyaging her, you're not nyanyasing her, because you don't want that, to be very honest. It's good for you to ask her open-ended questions. As in, these are questions where you just don't need a yes or a no. For example, you can ask her, what will you do in the instance that you've told a child to do something, the child is not doing, the child is refusing, or the child is misbehaving? What will you do? Yeah. Ask her, just ask her, what will you do? And also, it's good for you to ask the interview when the kids are around. Why? Because, you know, when the kids come, they want to talk to her, they want to play with her, maybe they're just all over around, sometimes they are running all over, maybe they are screaming and all that. Just observe her. What is her attitude towards the kids? Especially when the kid just comes up and says, "Hi, what's your name?" Just observe her. Does she look a bit irritated? Does she look odd? Does she look so happy, like she just wants to grab that child and just, you know, hold her and just lift her up in the air? It's good for you to know that, because there's some things that are so like instinct like that. If a child just comes up to her and wants to play, just that first reaction, just observe that. That non-verbal communication, it's so important. And sometimes also, even after the interview, the kids don't have to be there throughout the whole interview, but after the interview, you can ask the children, especially the older ones who are able to express themselves. You can ask, how did you find, I'm looking for a house girl, how did you find, for example, if her name was Sharon, how did you find Sharon? And kids are very honest, by the way. They can tell you things sometimes that even you haven't thought of. They have another instinct also, and your children will help you in making a decision. The decision ultimately, by the way, will be yours, but it's also good to have the input of your kids, especially if they're old enough. They can also be able to know if they can get along with somebody or if they can't, or if they are blood. Sometimes it's just like a blood. Saa zingine damu hazipatani kabisa. I always hear mom saying, damu hazikuwa zinapatana kabisa. It's just that kind of thing. So your kids will also help you with that. Yeah, so that's all that I had for you today. I hope you found this video helpful. If you did, please share it with another mom, another woman. You just do not know who's looking for this information and they just do not know where to start. So please make sure you share it with your networks. Remember to subscribe to Mommy Tales. We are all about motherhood and just talking about raising our kids together. Otherwise, thanks, and I hope to see you in the next video. Toodoo!